Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. The ongoing war in southern Cameroon cannot be told to completion without mentioning Batibo. The Republic of Cameroon terrorist forces have committed a lot of atrocities in Batibo. Batibo has been one of the strongholds of Amazonian fighters, making it a center of attraction to the colonial La Republic of Cameroon soldiers. Unable to stand the might of the Amazonian Restoration Forces, La Republic of Cameroon terrorizing forces have turned their weapons to the innocent population. These are one of many frequent atrocities and human rights violations carried out by La Republic du Cameroon on the peoples of the British Southern Cameroons. Tonight on Undaunted, we get to find out not only are these atrocities seen by both Cameroons, but they are also evident amongst the international community. And tonight on Undaunted, we'll take a look at the penalty dished out on La Republic du Cameroon for its cruelty against the innocent peoples of the British Southern Cameroons, but of course, only after the prime headlines.
All right, let's gather prime headlines for today. Bike riders parade the street with the corpse of a crushed La Republique du Cameroon military. Ambazonia conflict humbles La Republique du Cameroon. Now, this is because La Republique du Cameroon begs to be readmitted into the AGOA. Babito celebrates Easter in panic. This report says over 60 youths abducted by La Republique Cameroon terrorist forces. 130 hospitalized. Tragedy in Mbeyi local government area. However, we will note that the interim government under Dr. Sako is well structured, focused, and of course, delivering expected results. Well, that just goes to say that Weber is in the news today. And in African news today, commemoration of the 29th anniversary of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi ethnic group is on the news today. China appears to stimulate first aircraft carrier strike on Taiwan. And in sports, CAF General Secretary and Democratic Republic of Congo Sports Minister This caused revival and development of Congolese football until in Cairo. Now let's get the news in detail.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, the media world by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Amazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Amazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambertv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
Undaunted once reported warning road users and pedestrians in Ambazonia and Bamenda in particular about a plan by La Republic to Cameroon occupational forces to run over as many Ambazonians as possible with their armored vehicles as they drive past. Yesterday, Wednesday, a colonial La Republic to Cameroon military truck ran over a bike, killing the bike rider and the woman passenger he had on his bike. This happened at Fish Point Hill Food Market, Bamenda. Bike riders have the street with the cops of this bike rider colleague of theirs. This is an energetic young man who left the house in the morning full of hopes and dreams that public forces decided to end his life. It is not, as it is not the first of such premeditated acts by these thugs. What did they do wrong to be killed as such? What will become of those who depended on them? Well, it's on this sad note that we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, Oni. Good evening, Ambazonians. As said, two persons, a bike rider and a woman, were murdered yesterday, Wednesday, April 12th, 2023, in Bamenda. The two were run over by a colonial La Republique du Cameroon's military vehicle at the Fish Point Hill stretch of road. The bike rider is said to have died on the spot, and the woman, on her part, died at the Bamenda Regional Hospital. At first time, people were flooding the hospital to see the woman in question and possibly see if they could identify her. Bike riders operating the streets of Bamenda with the corpse of the bike rider. This has caused a lot of commotion at major junctions like the hospital roundabout and more.
Oh, well, before we proceed with the news for tonight, we did tell you that we have a very special guest in our midst. We have the Chief of Staff of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Yaya Fonye, in the studio. Before we continue, we would want to get her thoughts on this particular sad story. All right. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Fonye. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you. And how are you? Good to see you all. And happy Easter to everybody.
Well, we are very well, thank you. We just need to be sure that our sound is very clear and clean before we proceed with the interview with you. So please, I hope you are doing very well. This is just to determine that the sound is very clear from you.
Thank you. Certainly, I can hear you very well. I'm just struggling a little bit with on my side, but I think we're just going to manage it this way. Yes, but I can get your sound very clearly, so we can proceed. Yeah. I can't hear you anymore.
Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today.
All right. Well, ma'am, sincerest apologies for that break in transmissions, trying to ensure that all of the technical hitches are dealt with. Don't get interrupted in this particular interview with you. We are pleased to have. All right, I just want to be sure that you can hear me loud and clear, and I also want to be sure that I can also hear you. So I'll need you to say something.
Yes, sure. I can hear you now. Good evening, great ladies, uncle ladies of
All
ABC,
right.
and nice to be with you again. And happy Easter.
Good evening. You're welcome.
Yes,
Good
so I
evening,
guess
Madam
everything
Chief of
is.
Staff. All right. Please, did you follow up with our first report for tonight about a young man that was killed? Should we use that word, killed? The La Republic du Cameroon military in their van killed a young man who is just trying to make a living. And this is not the first time. It's not even the second time we are bringing such a report. Now, this kind of report goes on a regular basis. It's either the La Republic du Cameroon military is extorting money from these young men who are just trying to earn a living, or they are just killing them. Madam Chief of Staff, what would you have to say about this?
I know it is. It is very sad, but that is the reality of life under oppression by a brutal regime like La République du Cameroon, and like you people rightly reported, it didn't start. This didn't start today. This brutality and barbarism, we may call it, started since the 1960s in a bid to actually quieten us so that we never speak up. But unfortunately, they have met the wrong generation because we are the never again generation, and we must do what our forefathers started. We must complete the job because it would be unfair to actually pass this down to another generation. It has been over 50 years, more than half a century of such barbaric acts. Fortunately, with the digital world nowadays, we pick up these things and we can share them. But these killings, arbitrary killings, have been happening a long time ago. Some of our parents, or we have names that we knew from, sorry, in the past, people that would just disappear because they were suspected to be ringleaders or organizing and mobilizing for this day when Ambazonia would truly be free. So this is as sad as it is. Words alone wouldn't make a difference. Those of us who are able to make that difference, to fight for the life of this boy and many others whose lives have been wasted, we have the duty. It is upon us to actually free our country and make sure we provide a safe haven for us, if not for our generations to come. And that is why it is so important for us to pursue this revolution as if we were the last person, as if you were the last person standing, giving your all, so that we should shorten this suffering of our people dying every day, and we say, oh, yet another. We can't even keep records of the numbers. In as much as we want to honor all of them, they're being killed in their numbers every day. And so for us to actually put an end to this, we have to pursue this struggle in a very, very revolutionary manner. We cannot mix emotions and war. They declared war upon us, and therefore we must defend ourselves. And to defend ourselves, we need. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't get disconnected. Am I still on?
Go ahead, please.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
we
You
can
Okay.
hear
are.
you. You are.
All right. So for us to do this, we just have to get in there full swing. People have to donate, put in the money so that we buy ammunition to defend ourselves, like every other country in the world that is being oppressed, like Ukraine, just to name a few. So it is our basic human right to defend ourselves. And so to all of those who are sitting on the fence, who keep saying that your thing, there's nothing like our thing. We are being attacked. I'm sure if they live in their house and a thief comes in and breaks in their house, rapes their child in front of them, or kills their mother, burns them, or puts a baby in oil, they are going to be really angry, and they have to do something to defend these vulnerable people. So to all those who claim that they don't understand the struggle, they should see these pictures and ask themselves, what did this young man do? There is nothing he did. He's simply an Ambazonian, and because of that, he was killed. You could call that genocide, or you call it barbarism. They would all go. So we are the ones to make this call. I hear a lot of times to say, "Oh, the international world is not saying this, is not saying that." That may be true, but there are determination to get to Boya, or our let me put this, our success or how soon we get there depends on our determination. It depends on our zeal. It depends on the passion that we have, and it depends on the sacrifices that we make. So we cannot sit and just complain. We cannot sit and just forward messages on WhatsApp groups or discuss about what has happened or not. Everybody should be out there dipping in their pockets very deep. We have an upcoming federal draft this Saturday, the 15th of April at 8 p.m. Amba time. Please, if you're so hurt by what the oppressor, La République du Cameroon, is doing to our people, then crying is not even going to help. You must take actions that actually result in that produce results. And the interim government under our president, Dr. Samuel Ikomesako, have a great strategy in place. And he has actually called this year, or nominated this year, the year of acceleration. And what does that mean? A lot of us say that, but that has to be backed by action. If we want to accelerate, it's just like your car, or even yourself. When I go out for a walk, for example, I am slow. And if I want to run, I need to put in energy. I need to sweat. And I struggle because it is hard to accelerate. It's hard to run. But because I want to get faster, or I want to get results, or I want to get faster where I'm going to, I need to make that sacrifice. And so I'm calling on each and every one of us to actually review our revolutionary spirit, to review our dedication. Let it not just be analyzing what is happening, let that also be backed by actions and financial action, in addition to participation in your LGAs and counties with ideas on how to proceed with this war. Is actually our cornerstone to truly make this year a year of acceleration. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Dr. Fonye, we'll definitely come back to you. We have a special segment for you to specially talk about the draft, but I didn't want to cut you off when you
Oh,
delved
sorry.
into it, because I know the importance of the draft and why we must speak about it every minute and every second. But please do not go away. I will continue with the news right about now and definitely come back to you in a jiffy. Please stand by.
Thank you.
All right, I'm moving on with the news. The city of Bamenda was a tense one yesterday And this is because of the people that were killed. Now, a La Republic to Cameroon military truck knocked down a bike, killing two people on board the bike. Of course, it is far from being a mere accident, but an intentional act carried out by the terrorist forces of, President Paul Biya. For it is not the first time such an international or such an intentional act of crushing of civilians by them is happening. After parading the streets of their killed colleagues, the bike riders finally took the cops to Station, the hub of La Republic de Cameroon local administrative offices and residences, where they were received by the colonial SDO for Mazam.
Well, thought not conceived by the flimsy explanation and justification from the colonial senior divisional officer Simon Emile Mo, the bike riders retired with the cops to the Bamenda Regional Hospital mortuary, convinced that the message has reached the right quarters. The message is that no amount of occupational forces can stop a determined Amazonian front. Why was the colonial La Republique du Cameroon's military unable to stop the bike riders from parading with the cops?
Well, an atmosphere of what many say is relatively calm has replaced the tense atmosphere that engulfed Bamenda and its environs following an accident many feared would plunge the town into chaos. In the early hours of Wednesday, that's yesterday, April 12th, the Bamenda food market experienced a tense situation after what eyewitnesses described as a colonial La Republic to Cameroon van hit a bike that was descending from the fish pond hill carrying a lady. Report says the bike rider died on the spot, while the lady she was transporting or he was transporting was rushed to a health facility and also died later.
Well, according to a witness, the terrorist officers did not show any signs of regret after realizing what they had done. And quoting someone who opted for anonymity, he says they spoke to us as if the victims deserved what happened to them. Their behavior was inhumane instead of seeing how the injured could be rushed to the hospital, said an eyewitness. And the town became tense when the body of the young man was taken from the accident scene and paraded around major streets of Bamenda, with many joining the protest along the way. They passed through Food Market, Commercial Avenue, and Ngangs Junction, where they were accompanied by hundreds of bikers and other sympathizers from Nkwane as they continued to upstation Bamenda to present the trophy of colonial police forces to their superiors. At this juncture, those familiar with the story said the numerous extortion security checkpoints, which have been widespread in Bamenda, disappeared. Stanley, whose car was almost vandalized at Ngangs Junction, had this to say: I only realized that forces of law and order stationed along the stretch used by the protesters suddenly disappeared. It was difficult to even say how it happened.
Well, at Up Station, the angry motorcyclists were addressed by the Colonial Senior Divisional Officer for Mazam, Simeon Emile Mo, who assured them that investigations would be opened to get to the root of the matter. He also invited the riders to designate five persons to have a talk with him on Thursday, that's tomorrow. Many of the motorcyclists could be heard grumbling when it was announced that the matter was going to be investigated, given the word investigation has always been a softer way to close an affair in La Republique du Cameroon. Well, we are now targets, as if to say we are the problem. Investigations have been opened on many crimes against civilians. What has been the result? Hope you know what happened when a young girl was killed at Mile 2 Junction, where the officer, the colonial governor said, was arrested. Now, this is what one writer asked.
Well, Wednesday's incident has only added to the many that have gone unreported. A journalist in Bamenda said one of his relatives is still undergoing medical observations after she was hit by an armored car some months back on a motorbike in Intarincon. With all these happenings and the population yet to see justice being done, there are fears that such actions would rather shake the fragile peace that is prevalent in Bamenda and its environs.
All right, well, moving on. La Republique de Cameroon begs to be readmitted into the AGOA. Nothing indeed can be hidden under the sun. Technology is possible even with satellite images to ascertain the veracity of an act in a particular location. All the atrocities and the human rights violation actions of La Republic de Cameroon on the people of Southern Cameroon are evident both at home and among the international community. Opting for a military option to tackle their Amazonian fight, La Republic de Cameroon only preferred the community for more havoc on Amazonia. Having been pushed out of the African Growth and Opportunity Act AGOA for crimes against humanity, La Republic de Cameroon is today, with all the atrocities she is still committing in Amazonia, begging to be readmitted. What makes La Republic de Cameroon think she will be readmitted with what she's doing to Amazonia?
Well, over 2 years after the U.S. removed La République du Cameroon as a member of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, the country is pleading to be readmitted as an economic crisis largely exacerbated by the war in Europe and the war in the Anglophone regions continues with no end in sight. La République du Cameroon's colonial economy minister, Alamine Ousmane, said the La Republic du Cameroon government is in talks with Washington to get membership into the organization, which allows member states in sub Saharan Africa to export goods to the US duty free. La République du Cameroon was kicked out of the organization in late 2019 by the Trump administration following, quote, persistent and credible reports of human rights abuses, including extrajudicial killings in the far north of the country and also in Amazonia by La République du Cameroon's colonial military personnel. Citing a report by Human Rights Watch, it was the second significant action the US was taking against La République du Cameroon in the same year, having significantly cut back on military assistance to La République du Cameroon because of right abuses in February of the same year.
La Republic de Cameroon, which had been a member of the AGOA, is seeking to readmit into the organization to help boost its economy, which has been hard. It's not just been hard, it's been hard hit as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, which affected the global economy, and the weekly lockdowns in Amazonia, which have adversely affected the overall economy of the country, slowing La Republic de Cameroon's ability to repay its debts. According to International Monetary Fund, the IMF predictions, La Republic de Cameroon will only witness a 4.3% growth, making membership in the AGOA crucial to boost the economy. Well, on the other hand, Tibonaj asks in a tweet why they wanted to be part of the AGOA. He asked if they had solved the Southern Cameroonian issues. Now, with the tweet, he said surprised that the US government started discussions with Cameroons about the country's regaining AGOA eligibility. Has the Cameroon's government's human rights practices improved? Has government done anything serious to end the Anglophone crisis? Has government done anything to lessen corruption? Well, your answer is as good as mine.
Well, we'll move on to another interesting report for tonight. The ongoing war in southern Cameroon cannot be told to completion without mentioning this very particular LGA Batibo. La République du Cameroon terrorist forces have committed a lot of atrocities in Batibo. Batibo has been one of the strongholds of Amazonian fighters, making it a center of attraction to the colonial La République du Cameroon soldiers, unable to stand the might of the ARFs. The terrorist La République du Cameroon has turned to the innocent population. Well, as reported by MMI, La République du Cameroon occupational forces raided Batibo, broke into homes, looted properties, and arrogated over 60 youths. The youths are being compelled to pay a ransom of 500,000 francs CFA for their freedom. Why throw your frustration on the innocent youths and not the Amazonian restoration fighters?
Over 60 young people in Ashong, a village in Batibo local government area of the Midland zone of Amazonia, have been abducted, as reported by Mimi Info. They were abducted by Colonial La Republic de Cameroon soldiers who stormed the village on Friday, April 7, 2023. Locals say the occupational forces of La Republic de Cameroon spent some days in the village in the name of the search for Ambazonian fighters. During the failed operation, they reportedly broke into houses and carted away valuables before arrogating over 60 youths. Well, someone said it was breaking Friday morning when the Colonial La Republic de Cameroon military stormed our village and broke into people's houses, looted, blindfolded our youths, and took them away. Well, this is from an Ashong inhabitant who voted for anonymity, as he explained. Local sources say some of those arrested were taken to the Colonial Gendarmerie Brigade in Batibo, while others were taken to Bamenda. We do not know exactly where the Colonial La Republic de Cameroon military took them to, but we are told some are kept at the Colonial Gendarmerie post in Batibo, while others have been moved up to the La Republic de Cameroon military camp in Bamenda. This is what another said.
Well, the locals said the Colonial La Republic du Cameroon soldiers are asking each of them to pay 500,000 francs CFA to secure their freedom. Fear has gripped the village as a majority of youths have escaped into the bushes for safety. This has been going on for days. We observed Good Friday and celebrated Easter in fear, said a source. It should be noted that this is not the first time that La Republic du Cameroon soldiers are carrying out a mass arrest at Ashog since the start of the conflict.
All right, moving on. One dead, 30 hospitalized after drinking Sha. Sad news reaching ABC Amber TV News confirms that one person died and more than 30 others have been hospitalized after drinking Sha. Now, Sha is a local liquor produced from maize. Some call it corn beer. This unfortunate incident, we are told, happened in a meeting house referred to in local parlance as Njangi House in Mbi Tala village in Ndu local government area on Sunday, April 9th. The third victim is said to be a primary school pupil being initiated by the parents into taking the local liquor.
Well, ABC Amba TV news sources add that there were 61 survivors, 34 at the Undu District Hospital and 27 at the Undu Baptist Hospital, who are presently being attended to medically in Undu and Mbia health facilities, with some cases very critical. Investigations have been opened to determine the exact cause, and those with families in Mbia should call and check on them.
Sha is a delicacy and a household name in all of Donga Matun County and beyond, which has been helping the local population who cannot afford sophisticated beers and other beverages, especially with their excruciating times. And from the beginning of the age, this is the first time such a tragedy is being recorded. All right, now before we move on, remember draft is on Saturday, and we have the chief of staff here. You should know why she's here. Now, the president is also doing a lot to ensure that everyone gets their information on time. We have this voice note or video from the president, and after which we would get back to meet Dr. Foye.
Fellow Ambazonians, Wunyamwe, Batata na Bahia, Amwe, this one na Atlantic Zone. We come for house. The federal government, they come for a house. This Saturday, April 15, from 8 p.m. Kumba time, we come for a house. Federal government will be for a house. They are for the Atlantic Zone, on the draft for the federal government. So I don't come appeal to all our financial warriors in Amazonia and all our dedicated, die-hard Amazonian patriot fighters in the struggle from all these 4 counties inside this Atlantic Zone. May we come out, may we come, may we gather. We get for draft. As far as the enemy surrender, the people the way that they defend, they must not stop until the enemy surrenders. We get a right to defend ourselves. Yes, it's a natural right. It's a universal human right. We get for defend ourselves. And the appeal to all Ambazonians, especially from these 4 counties in the Atlantic Zone, may we come out. May all support us now come out. May we give to the federal government which way we need to strategically work with all these counties and change the game on the ground. So as many as we don't start for draft for Savannah, for Midland, please come and continue your redemption because the game is on. Ambazonia must be free. Thank you all. See you on Saturday. Don't miss on the Zoom exactly at 8 p.m. Amba time, Saturday, 15th April 2023. You are blessed.
All right. I'm sure that we are all warming up for Saturday. We still have Dr. Fonye in the studio. And with the smile, Dr. Fonye, tell us what we will be expecting and how much the counties are preparing for Saturday.
Oh, thank you, Lady Onye and Lady Star Smart. Yes, I mean, I just listened to the president, and he has set the pace, and the counties have been doing a great job behind the scenes, trying to mobilize. And we've still got, we're at Thursday today, so we've still got 2 good days, to do some more mobilization. So as we know, 2 days is a lot of time in a revolution. So I'm just encouraging everyone indeed, not only the Atlantic people from the Atlantic zone or comrades from the Atlantic zone, from all across Ambazonia. Remember, this is the federal draft, which is being hosted by each zone. So um, it is not expected. It's not expected for just comrades from the Atlantic zone to draft. In fact, those who had already drafted during the other hostings at the Savannah and Midlands, they are expected to redeem their drafts completely, or those who have already redeemed their drafts completely. And of course, they have more to give. We encourage them to do so come Saturday. So we shouldn't look at this as an Atlantic affair. So all Ambazonians are really expected to come and make a statement of sort. And we are also, we heard the president. He's got a game. He has a game change plan, so to say. But we have to fund this plan, and the way to do that is by drafting the federal government. So I hope I'm not repeating myself. It is just so important. So I just can't stop
So,
talking about this. I am
no, no,
here talking
it's
non-stop,
allowed
so you
because
better stop me.
no, we wouldn't because we really understand that. I mean, no publicity is too much for us to
Thank you.
achieve a successful draft on Saturday. So even if it means you going over and over and over again to emphasize on the benefits, on the reasons why we must all come out to draft on Saturday. I mean, you have the time. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lady Onya. Yes, so once again, dear comrades, dear patriots, I keep saying this. We just came out of the Holy Week for Christians, that many of us are. We celebrated Easter, and the question is, what is Easter about? I'm not a pastor, I'm not a preacher, but the lead to summarize. Uh, God, sorry, I'm not in my usual spot, so it's a bit difficult using my phone. Yeah. So Easter is really about sacrifice. Yeah, it's about love and sacrifice. For us Christians, we understand it as a day where the good Lord sacrificed His Son for our sake. So we are expected as comrades, to be honest, to take this as a God-given chore. This is how I treat this struggle, to be honest. So when I hear people say things, I feel sorry sometimes, and a lot of them, seem to be God-fearing people, but they cannot relate this to be something that needs the love of God, because it is not godly to just go and destroy a people, to raise down their villages, to burn and fry kids in hot oil, to burn grandmothers, people who cannot run out of their houses. It is not godly. And indeed, it is ungodly to sit and watch evil take over. So I'm just calling on everybody, those who keep thinking, or I think it's self-deceit at this stage, 7 years into the war, to not, or to claim not to understand why we're doing what we're doing. We had the president clearly say that self-defense is your right. It's your basic human right. It is written. We didn't write it. So there's nothing we should be afraid of. We are defending an oppressor who has been struggling using all kinds of methods from time immemorial. Like we said, this didn't start today. So at some point, there has to be a stop. And we can only have this stop if we are truly determined. And to be determined to make this happen, we must sacrifice. And sacrifice entails pain. We could see that with our Lord Jesus Christ. Sacrificing for the atonement of our sins entailed pain in terms of human perspective or wisdom. So there is no way we want to run and accelerate this struggle and be comfortable. So I'm just pleading to each and every one of us. We must feel the pain. This young boy, who is not even a fighter, got killed for just being an Ambazonian. He's probably sustained the physical pain before dying. And think about his family. His family is going to deal with the trauma, the hurt, and and all that goes along with that. So what more sacrifice can there be than giving up your life? And we thinking of all our soldiers, our fighters who die every day for defending motherland. They have died, they have gone. They will never live to actually enjoy what they were fighting for. But they died in honor because that was their sacrifice that they decided to make. They paid the ultimate price with their lives. And yet we sit and count money. Yet we sit and talk about coins. Yet we sit and ask, oh, are we going to draft 1,000 this time or 2,000? So this and that. I hear that in terms of trying to be clarified. But please, let us ask ourselves, what is the worth of a life that has been laid down for you and I? What is the worth? Is it worth $1,000? Is it worth $2,000? Is it worth $50? Is it worth $10,000? There's no worth that we can put to a life. That's just a simple answer. So please, when we talk about amounts, we just give amounts to help us a sense, to give us some directive. But this is not. I think we quickly forget because that reaction of, so are we going to draft the federal government and draft our counties? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, and even more because the enemy hasn't stopped killing us. They have used their conventional methods. They have run out of money, probably. They have borrowed money from, their supporters across the world and are now using indirect means to get rid of our fighters. So why wait? Why wait with your money and be giving $50 for over 20 years and you stretch out the suffering? We're going to see all these horrendous pictures for the next, for many years. And we don't want to do that. And we can stop this if we all really, decide to sacrifice a little bit more, cause a bit of pain, give up something. That big project that you want to do, whether it's building a house, building a business, or doing whatever, that can go on hold to sacrifice for this cause. Because when you have a peaceful country, everything is going to spring up. And remember, the others that are sacrificing, it's not because they're stupid. They also have projects. But this is what the sacrifice is about. So I am just pleading. It starts with simple things. It doesn't even need to be very huge things. Just think about your expenditure every week. Go through. I'm not saying that people in the diaspora shouldn't have a good life. Please do that, but in consideration that your people are suffering. Put something aside just for Ambazonia. If you go out and have a cup of coffee every 2 days, sacrifice and just have maybe 1 cup of coffee a week. That's still going to be okay. And then you put in the rest in there. We don't need to, people know what to do to save money. So I am just pleading with everybody that let's not count our coins, because we are here to we have the joy of being here and even thinking of how much to give. Those who have died, they cannot speak. So please respect their lives, honor them, and do much more. So we're expecting everybody to really come out this Friday. It doesn't matter if you had already completely paid your draft at the Savannah and the Midlands. Come again to show Ambazonia, and especially to honor our fallen heroes, that their lives is worth the while. So we're expecting everybody to really mobilize. 2 days, like I said, is a long time. Let us go to our counties and our LGAs and encourage everybody to come and just add to whatever they have done already. Thank you.
All right, Doctor. Yeah, yeah. You talked about elaborating too much. Well, like my co-anchor said, I don't think you can actually elaborate too much. No amount of explanation is too much for Amazonians right now. And luckily, you've answered every question on my mind before I even asked in a bit of elaborating. Well, there's one more thing that still boggles the minds of Amazonia, and that has to do with, even after the Vice President Anijo explained it, it has to do with the understanding the concept of this particular federal draft. Like, can you explain the concept further? Did
Okay.
you get
Thank
that,
you,
Dr.
Lady
Yaya?
Star Smart. Yeah, yeah, I did. I did. I'm just struggling to have my phone stay upright.
You
Yeah.
see?
So, I don't look, every change comes with a bit of anxiety because people do not maybe understand very well, or because people are unsure about how things will go. So that's expected. But by now we're doing the third draft, and we shall keep on educating. You cannot have enough of education, and so yeah, but we don't want anyone to stay back because they didn't understand something. You know who to call. Even if things still aren't clear to you, call the next comrade who can talk to, or you call your LGA chair or your county chair or anybody in leadership. I'm sure they'll be able to explain things in more detail. Well, let me say this. In the past, we're not doing, in the past, we have drafted counties. We've actually never drafted the federal government. And let's just take a seat and think of how other countries or other governments function. Every government has a source of funding. They have a treasury and they have a budget. But in our revolutionary context, this is different because we don't have a source, a constant source of funding in way of taxes. Of course, indirectly, now we're having AID, which we encourage everybody to contribute. But again, these things are, we could say, they are voluntary in a way. So we don't have, the government as a government doesn't really have much powers when he doesn't have money in his hands. We drafted the counties, which of course is a great thing, and we shall continue doing. There's also the misunderstanding maybe that drafting the federal government means we are not going to draft the counties. No, that is very wrong. The county drafts are going to follow after the federal rounds, And let's remember this, the structure of this interim government, which is what makes it very unique. And that is what has made it so strong to stand all the tests, all the challenges, and all the betrayals and, foul games that have been attempted. That is because they're not dealing, these people, or I don't know what name to give them, the enemies of the revolution, I should say, they are not fighting an individual. They believe they are fighting an individual, but they're wrong. They're actually fighting a government. That is the broadest and the most stable structure we have in this struggle as far as the recent times are concerned. By recent times, I mean since 2016. So the interim government is a broad-based structure that works on the principles of grassroots, bottom-up access, if I may put it that way. Yeah. So that is why we empowered our counties, and we did the drafting. We drafted our counties. Uh, however, however, just like in every federal system, you still have the federal government also still needs to have its own projects. And in the past, when the president or the federal government had such projects, they didn't have the funding. The plan was that we would use our structures like the LGAs to mobilize, and then a certain percentage would be given to the federal government, so that in order to empower the federal government to take its own federal projects, so to say. That also being a new thing was not very effective. Some counties did well, others didn't. But we're work in progress. The point I'm trying to make here is uh, we as a government, we want to involve all arms of government. We don't want to leave any part. We don't want to allow a part to be too strong and another one weak. Like the president puts it in very simple language. I always like the way he explains things. It's very simplistic. He said our struggle runs on three wheels, you know. And I think last year one of the slogans, the popular slogans were, "We govern together to liberate together." And what does that mean? That means we have the federal government, we have the leadership at the federal level, headed by the president, of course, and then we have the county leaderships headed by our county coordinators, and you have the LGA leadership. So all these three wheels of the executive are meant to be empowered, and that is the reason why we had to also include the federal draft, so that if the president has a plan, he doesn't necessarily need to go mobilizing from the counties, to get some money before he can execute this. Because as we know, in a revolution, time is of essence. So I hope that this explains or tries to debunk the feeling or the misconception that doing the federal draft means that the counties are being weakened or the counties are not encouraged to draft. No, all counties will be drafted. So we expect by doing this exercise throughout the year to achieve a strong federal government and a strong county and LGA government as well. And that way, we're really running on three solid wheels, and that's going to give us more stability. Because if we only drafted the federal government and at the expense of our counties, then we have simply turned the plates around. Then we are simply saying that every county should run to the federal government for help, and that's not the idea of the federal draft. So let this be very clear: we are doing something in addition to what we've done in the past. So we've drafted the counties, and we shall still do that. And in addition, we are going to draft the federal government because the president has a plan and he needs to be liquid. Thank you.
Okay. All right, that quite explains the concept of this particular federal draft. I hope with this additional explanation to Ambazonians, they get it now, what it's all about. Well, that is about it for the drafts. Do you have any more concerns for the draft?
Okay, let's just find out, Dr. Fournier. Um, Now that this new concept of drafting has been initiated, we've drafted for three zones already, right? We've drafted for three zones already. Um, have we achieved more results when it comes to finances compared to the last concept? So far, can we say that we have achieved more with this concept compared to the last concept that was used in 2022?
I hate to claim authority over things I am not too certain. I wish we had our financial or the National Treasury or resource mobilization sectors here. But I think this is my feeling. I think it's going to be more. We will be doing more because we've drafted two. We've had two zonal drafts. Sorry, let me put it that way. Federal drafts. That of Savannah and that of the Midlands. And sorry, I just don't have the figures right in my head, but I think Savannah drafted cash about 30,000, and pledges were in total of over 100. And Midlands, we had over $80,000 cash, so we're already over 120. And we're hoping that the Atlantic hosting, we're going to have a huge number. I think it's a good tactic, and it seems the difference here actually, which is a success, I should say, is that we're having mainly cash. Of course, we still have a discrepancy of 30,000 as opposed to 100,000 being pledged, especially at the Savannah. I think this was more so because uh, being the first, it was a trial, so to say, it was a pilot, a draft, and many people didn't understand, and some people were holding back because they thought, oh, I should hold my money because um, I should wait for when my own zone is drafting. That was the wrong idea. Whoever, if ever you were told that, please cancel that off your mind. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can draft at any of the hostings. This is because the federal draft goes to your personal account. So let me give a scenario. If I drafted at the Savannah, let's say I drafted $100. Oh well, let's say 1,000. This is the minimum expectation at Savannah, and at Midlands, I thought to myself, okay, I really want to get this done, and I drafted another $500. I do not come from Midlands, but I drafted $500. Yeah. And then let's say I come to Atlantic and I say, we must finish this business. And I draft another $500. So altogether, as individual A, I have drafted $2,000. And that $2,000 goes to my personal account, irrespective of where I did the drafting. So on my draft certificate, my federal draft certificate, it's going to state X drafted $2,000 in 2023, drafted the federal government. And that is your certificate, which acts indirectly as your identity card, because when we get to Ambazonia, we will need to know who did what, and this is going to be the proof. We've been given a guarantee by Resource Mobilization and Treasury that we're going to have this receipt. So people shouldn't hesitate when they draft. Don't say, I'm waiting for my turn, for my zone, because whatever you draft, everything you give in is going to go under your name as having drafted the federal government. So I hope that answers. In a nutshell, it is positive, and I think we're going to get more because people are meant to just pay cash. And we're really pleading. We understand that we go through difficulties, um, and we appreciate that all hands are not the same. But please, if you can pay, just pay it off. What's the point taking 1,000 and dividing in, I don't know, over 10 months or 12 months? If you can pay, just pay it off at once, because the killing of our people is not being, there's no, La Republique doesn't say, okay, let me wait and kill them in December, you know? So if you're keeping your money, which could have helped to stop this, think about it, that indirectly, you're also helping La Republique. Indirectly, you're stretching, you're pulling out the suffering. We can make this shorter by just getting a little bit uncomfortable. Some of us can just do extra jobs over the weekend. Just do one extra day in a month. I'm sure you can make this money. So let us look for means to push ourselves so that we get this done, really. Otherwise, we're just talking and entertaining ourselves on WhatsApp fora, and that's not a revolution. Let us read about other revolutions and see how passionate people were. I remember growing up and watching the days of the apartheid, and I think that also spurred my sense of social justice. We could see how people were determined, how passionate people were. I think we're getting too complacent. We're thinking this revolution has ended on WhatsApp. Please, it's time for us. Yes, I'm not saying we shouldn't have a life. Please, let's do what we have to do to maintain our sanity. But remember, we are at war, and we did not choose this. God just put this task on our hands, and please, let's finish it. So that's my plea. Let us be more aggressive. Let us be more angry. And that anger, it is not to turn against our own brother. It is to turn it against those who are killing us, because that is called self-defense, and it is correct, even in the eyes of God. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Yaya, thank you so much. You indeed explained this part very well, even though you had some issues with the figures because that's Nijo's thing, but you did explain this part very well to its beat. We do have just one more report of interest that we would like you to react to, and we'll just get back into the reports for tonight, and we'll get back to you right after that. All right, now on to this other interesting report. Bonafide Ambazonians have gone a long way to be derailed again by so many people. It's been Munzu, it's been Ayangwe, Sisuku, Ayaba, Bala, just to name this few. And time has confirmed that Dr. Common Sense, popularly called by Ambazonians, that is Dr. Sacco, as the Joshua who came after Moses. Reading the gospel according to the Ambazonian liberation struggle, how on earth can someone hitherto considered by many as a liberator, Weber, who debunked the system right in the lion's den and escaped for his dear life, today bring a lofty idea, sending people back to the lion's den when he knows that it is still a no-go zone, especially for all those who stand for the truth about our liberation movement. Ambazonians must be wise and focused with the people's interim government, and most importantly, draft now more than ever for the valiant Ambazonian restoration forces to continue to disgrace the occupier, La République du Cameroon foot soldiers, and regain their territory, as you've heard this advice severally from SOSs from the interim government. Weber says revolution is a tough move for only the tough-minded. Weber says it's tough, but we all know that Dr. Samuel Ikomi Sacco has made it look easy. Well, let's take a listen at his own video.
That have worked for other countries perfectly. You take the revolution to the people. They organize themselves from the smallest villages to the largest cities. They start by forming revolutionary committees for liberation. And when you get that to every village level, and then from the village level to every council area, and then from every council area to the county level, you can actually now build structures all the way through to the national level. People who can sit down and plan and, see where their revolution is going and give advice to the various people who are, supporting the revolution. So that's exactly the kind of thing that can take us forward. And unfortunately for us, the diaspora didn't understand this. They mistook it for something that you could create some structure up there and it gives instructions to people and then they run around and do the business. It is not like that. Revolutions are a hard, tough business. It is meant for those who can lay literally their lives to free their people. It is meant for those who have the energy and the will to sustain a long fight. There are no quick fixes in a revolution. There are no shortcuts in a revolution. The hard way is the only way. That's why I've been stressing that there is a revolution only in the homeland. In southern Cameroon, in Ambazonia, there's a revolution only in the homeland. There's no revolution in the diaspora. And the diaspora failed in that role because they assumed erroneously that there's a revolution going on out here. The revolution is in the homeland. Exactly. And what the diaspora is supposed to do would have been to come together to support the homeland to get what we all want. When people want freedom and move for it. Whoever.
Well, ABC Amba TV News takes the liberty to tell fellow Amazonian listeners, viewers, and everyone who has the liberation struggle at heart that the proposal of Honorable Weber to take the revolution to the people is not really aimed at their safety. The Amazonian government in exile, it's aimed at the killing the Amazonian government in exile and killing the struggle as well. Honorable Weber knows very well that colonial and genocidal French Cameroon cannot allow anyone travel in and out of Amazonia for diplomatic meeting concerning the struggle, but will instead easily arrest, kill, or imprison anyone on home front who posits to lead the revolution on the ground.
Well, that explains the reason why he, Weber himself, escaped from GZ to the UK even through exile. He's in total dishonest, or his total dishonesty continued to receive his parliamentary immunities from a system he criticized. Abdul Karim Ali, who thought he could fight the IG and make himself a GZ leader, is behind bars in Kondengi. Now, if Weber is sincere, let him cite at least one example of a bona fide Ambazonia who raises his or her head or his or her voice at the home front. Again, it's only ARFs, and that we know.
Well, it's either you were silenced and teleguided at Kondegi if you were lucky that your body hasn't disappeared. The media is muzzled if it doesn't toe the line of La République du Cameroun and its special status. The best option for the sustainability and effectiveness coordination of the Amazonian people's liberation struggle is the Amazonian People's Interim Government in exile under President Sacco, funding our Amazonian restoration forces to smoke out the colonial and genocidal French Cameroon occupation terrorist forces on homeland and engaging diplomatically with the international community to pressure for international mediation. Now, like we told you, we have this particular pressing question to our chief of staff, Dr. Yaya, if she's still available. Yes, in that regard, we understand that Mr. Joseph Weber is from the Bouilly County, where you hail from. And we also understand that La Republique du Cameroon is focused on the Bouilly Ngoketunja axis, which will imply more commitment from Amazonians to mount sustainable resistance. Now, how do you feel looking at elites from Bouilly, like Weber, whose current behavior is forthcoming, his reaction to the revolution? How do you feel about it?
One, I want to say that uh, Honorable Weber is really like a father to me. Um, and in the early days of this revolution, we had a lot in common and we spoke a lot. He has his role, I would say this. Um, we have to acknowledge the roles that each person has played in this revolution. And I think he did a wonderful job, in standing up in the lion's den at the time that he did, to dare say the things that he said, which we use every day in this struggle, uh, um, you know, as one of our mottos. But as time went on, I think we had a divergence of how to proceed with this struggle. But just listening to him anyway, he used the word only. Only. There's one thing I know about examinations or tests. You're told, a multiple choice test, that if you ever see an answer that has only in it or always, then just know it's a wrong answer. So, Honorable Weber, I agree with a lot of things that he said, though. I'm not sure whether he actually realizes that this is exactly what the interim government is doing. Can you people hear me? I hope so. So we call him fondly Pa. So Pa mentioned that a revolution is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those who understand what long suffering is. That is true. He also mentioned that to actually get this job done, we need to organize revolutionary councils or committees, he called them, at the village level, and then at the level of the council, if I got him well, and then eventually take it at the level of the country. This I also agree. But is this not what the interim government is doing? He just calls a different name, because this is the structure of the bottom up. This is the bottom up structure, which the interim government stands on. By virtue of its LGAs, you can call them villages. It's just a question of semantics, really. It's just using different words to describe the same thing. The counties, and then the federal government. This is what the interim government is made of. So I am not sure how you criticize a thing and then you describe exactly what you're criticizing, but just using different words. And then when Pa talks about only, the revolution can only be fought from the home front, that is completely elusive. If he implies that the actual fighting, which makes sense, it has to happen on the territory, and that is the home front. But then the question is, who funds the revolution? So the home front, of course, is key, but must work in symbiosis with the diaspora who does the funding. So I'm not sure how home front only can run this revolution. And Lady Onye, you actually spotted it very, it's just common sense. There is no freedom. We are living under oppression, under the most barbaric regime you can think of. So how does home front freely express itself? Even those who are not in uniform are being killed. People are arrested without any cause and put in prison, or completely wiped out and buried in mass graves whose names we will never know tomorrow. So how is it supposed to actually practically work on home front only? My first question is, how does home front alone fund this war? It is not possible without the diaspora. All other revolutions have had funding from their diaspora. So why is Ambazonia different, or supposed to be different? I'm not a historian, but at least I still know that in the days of apartheid, you had people like Miriam Makeba, great woman, going about through her song and music, being a voice, for the active or stimulating the diaspora to respond to what was going on back home. So I'm not sure how Ambazonia is supposed to be different, unless there is a source of funding to fund the ground. And where would that be coming from? Is it from La Republique? Because our people don't even have jobs. We have graduates from university, intelligent men and women who are just wasting at home because of the injustice that we have experienced all through these years. So how are they supposed to even get themselves, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's just the answers are very clear. It is, the way I see what Pi is saying, to me, even this interim government, let me say something. When people talk about it and they vilify the structure, the question is, who are they blaming? Because who created this structure? Who created the interim government? Dr. Sako did not create the interim government. So if some of us are, you just don't like the leader, and you forget even the recent history. How I wish I had the facts, I could put them chronologically. But this interim government is an evolution of this, is the result of the evolution of our struggle. In as much as we compare with other struggles, there are no two identical struggles. There are no two. When Pa says there is a structure that thinks that, and he's calling all of that, the government we had in 1954, if I can remember taking down my notes very well from all our smart barristers, we had a government before, or at least we were represented in parliament. We had prime ministers. So what does he say about that? As a matter of fact, we as seeing this interim government as a revival or a restoration of this government that was killed by La Republique. Because if the so-called fake federation was supposed to work, we were supposed to have our autonomous governments as federal states. But that was abolished because systematically the plan was to eliminate our identity and finally assimilate us, which did not work. Mr. Biya confessed himself, whether due to his dementia or not, but God used a very good way. It came out of his mouth. He said, we tried to subdue these people, to assimilate them. It didn't work. So I am just pleading to all our great leaders. Your names will be written in history for the good things you have done. But let us stay away from emotions and actually be honest. Because who can blame? Who do we criticize for the evolution into the interim government? The revolution started. None of us were prepared. Diaspora didn't start it. That is true. It started with strikes with lawyers and teachers, and then simply evolved. Nobody has control. Nobody had control. Nobody could predict what it would look like. So it has simply morphed, and it is where it is today. So you cannot come and you're trying to condemn the leader who is, a victim of circumstances, so to say. President Sako never overthrew anybody to come to sit. In fact, he's the bravest man I can say in this revolution, because when our leaders, our former president Siseko was abducted, and we were all in a state of depression and shock, everybody was scared. How many people could put out their faces at the time to say, oh, I am probably the next day going to track down? Dr. Sako never came and did a coup d'etat. No. We followed our process according to our constitutions at the time, and a leader was elected, and he was democratically elected, and he won in a landslide victory. People should remember this, because sometimes we talk as if Dr. Sako sat in his house and then decided to gather a few people and said, oh, let's form this interim government. No, the interim government existed. Siseko was the president of the interim government. Is it hatred for an individual, or is it hatred for the institution? If you hate this interim government, are you saying that you hate the Southern Cameroon's government that existed? We had prime ministers. Do you hate that? What are we fighting then to restore? So when we move from the consortium to the SCACUF to governing council, and then eventually to interim government, who did that? Was it Dr. Sako? He wasn't even in the picture, I don't think. So please, my plea to everybody, if I were going by emotions, I would be supporting Pawiba, because he's truly my father. But I was brought up to stand for what is right, and I have done my best. I do my best to stick to that. I do not hate him, but I disagree with a lot of things he's doing nowadays, because we expected more from him. We expected him to even start with his county, Bowie County. It doesn't matter if you think your children didn't come to you to ask for advice. Sometimes as a parent, you can also see a child and say, hey, hold on, I think you could do things this way, if he believed that we're going the wrong path. It is easy to sit and watch and make comments, but let us get into the business itself. Even talking about Homefront alone doing this. When Power was active when he was back home, Mancho Bibixi, of course, was one of his, activists at the time. And what happened? Soon after the Coffin Revolution, he landed in prison. So how can they then run a revolution when everybody lands in prison or is killed? Is that not a way of killing the revolution? Because everybody is going to be killed or, or imprisoned. And then we don't have the young and strong men to fight, because that's what La Republique is doing with all these arbitrary arrest, organizing whatever they call, people just being caught for no reason. So how can we possibly function in that oppressed state and run a revolution without the diaspora? That beats my imagination. So I'm just asking all Ambazonians, please, let's move away from the politics and stick to your conscience, because everybody knows what is right. I believe that. If we focus on, because Paul also says what the diaspora should have done is come together. What does it mean to come together? I mean, he is also part of the diaspora. So who has he come together with? If you have, somebody going the direction left and another one going direction right, where's their midpoint? Attempts have been made by this interim government. From the time of Seseko, I'm not talking about Dr. Sako. We should remember, we are talking about interim government. And that interim government has a leader. So if we are pointing fingers and saying we shouldn't have created this structure, the question is who created it? Who was in Zaria? These conferences were held and the Constituent Assembly came up with that decision. Now, are you then saying that, you're against the will of the people? And part of these conferences, the consortium, which we could say was the very initial kind of an organizational body, was also part of this decision making. You cannot have a revolution without leadership. It makes no sense. So I don't understand what they're proposing, but if what they're proposing can work, why don't they do it? That's the other option. Let them do it, because we keep having all this, arrows. Oh, the interim government doesn't do this. Dr. Sako has done this and that. Okay, those who have the ideas, those who think they have alternative methods, have they taken La Republique out of our land? Because I would appreciate them. Even if they are not of this interim government, it is fair to say, oh, yes, we may have different umbrellas, but I appreciate the good work you've done for Ambazonia. So why don't we see this good work? Everybody claims they are leaders. So please, can these leaders tell us what they have also done following their doctrines or their, whatever they think works? So this is not a war of theories. It is really about practicalities, and we need funding to do this. And I don't know, and I don't see how Home alone is going to fund this war, unless it is going to be La République du Cameroon funding Home Front to fight them. And of course, we know what that means. That's happening indirectly through all this kind of subtle messaging that people use wise, smart words to manipulate people. That is happening through the envelopes that are going through hands, and discouraging our fighters, telling them to give up, telling them to hand down their weapons and go to DDR. I'll be grateful if PA can really tell us, give us a blueprint on how the Home Front alone can pursue this war without money and with the constant oppression. Thank you. Can you still hear me? I think I'm disconnected. Oh, that's sad.
Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambatv.com.
Permit me to make a solemn appeal to supporters and well-wishers of fellow Ambazonians. Permit me to make a solemn appeal to all of you, all supporters and well-wishers of the interim government, all supporters and well-wishers of this God-ordained struggle. Whether you are Ambazonian or non-Ambazonian, you are welcome. All executives and non-executives, you are welcome. All of you in the home front or in the diaspora, you are all welcome to participate in this federal government draft scheduled for Saturday, the 18th of March 2023, and the time is 8 p.m. Ambazonia time. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate and to thank you, all of you who have participated in the ongoing draft event by the federal government. It started 2 weeks ago with the Savannah. Thank you for participating. Thank you for those of you who brought the cash needed. And for those of you who made your pledges, redemption continues. Even as we gather in the Midland Zone, we are counting on your willingness and readiness to redeem every dime that you pledged to put in the hands of the central government. This is a crucial year we have christened the year of acceleration. And for us to realize that, it will take more than words of mouth. It will take more than a declaration. We have to make sacrifices more than usual to achieve that. To go the extra mile, we have to make extra sacrifices. The federal government is hereby signing on as an active participant, actor on the ground. We will not be any longer contented with issuing directives and giving orders or sharing strategies, but we want to lead. We want to help to galvanize our forces on the ground and in the home and in the diaspora. We want to help to direct strategies, to direct operations, and to ensure that counties and LGS align with the national strategic plan so that we can finish this sooner than later. We are not drafting as the federal government this time on behalf of the counties. We are not doing some kind of collections to distribute to counties. We have decided to start this year with the federal draft to empower the federal draft as the first leg in this revolution, to serve as a down payment for the acceleration we need, so that even before we start drafting the counties and the LGS in July, we would have been able to do more to rekindle the fire, the enthusiasm again in this liberation effort. So draft, when it comes to the federal government, draft as if that's the last thing you will do in your life. Everything you have to do for this revolution, for us to succeed, do it as if that's the last thing you will do before our freedom. There is a lot to do. There is a lot to revive. There is much to accelerate for us to be in a comfortable place that we were in 2021. And we have the strategy to rekindle the fire, to bring back that moment back in our struggle. Some people brutally interrupted us. The federal government want to come in full throttle. We need your help. We need your sacrifice, please. We need your full draft. We are more interested right now with a down payment. A down payment will never be a promissory note. A down payment will be cash. We need it. Put it in our hands. Let's join forces together with our counties at the level of our zones, and let us change the game once and for all. Let us secure our country and take our country back. Make sure that the enemy will not win us by forfeiture. Thank you very much. I look forward to your participation on Saturday. But above all, share this invitation. Invite somebody. You are free to come and donate. You may do so anonymously, but do something, because those who are dying, they cannot defend themselves. That's why they die. They need you. We are alive. Therefore, we can do more. Life is given to us, so more is expected from us than for those who are no more. One day we'll be remembered by the fight we fought, by the sacrifices we made. Thank you very much. I look forward to receiving you. God bless you.
That was amazing there from the President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia. Dr. Yaya, I would say, Madam Chief of Staff, you've been very inspiring this evening in your analysis. With your analysis, I'm bringing you back on the screens because we would have to conclude this segment of our news today with you. You've said a lot on the draft. I'm sure you were not expecting to comment on the issues that were happening in Bamenda yesterday and that we've had feedback today. I'm also sure you were not expected to comment on Honorable Weaver's rhetoric. Yeah, I would say again that you've inspired Amazonians. Why we conclude it? What do you say to Amazonians as a final statement from the fountain of the presidency that you hail from this evening? The spirit, it is 48 hours away from this second attempt of the federal draft that so far has been a success. You rightly said we've been able to put together close to 120,000 US dollars cash, which is amazing. What will you tell the people as your final statements in this regard, please?
Thank you so much, Director Padi, and thank you for all you do. Thanks for having me on ABC TV News. Yes, we heard again our president, as usual. You know, he knows how to reach out to his people. He has said it all. Please, we need you to come and sacrifice. It is called sacrifice. And if we have forgotten what it is or what it means to be a true revolutionary, we can just look at the videos in the days of apartheid and look at those kids, how they would come out. Look at mothers who were carrying their kids. Even Winnie Mandela, who had two girls at home, that didn't stop her. She would go boldly in front of the police and stand and tell them off. We don't have the opportunity to do that on home front. Our brothers, our comrades are making that sacrifice. So there is no price that is too much for us in the diaspora. It is a clarion call for us to do much more. Whatever you think you're doing, please double that, triple it, multiply it by 10. A lot of us are comfortable. We live in very comfortable homes. We eat 3 square meals or maybe even 5 a day. We drive big cars. We have big houses. We throw lavish parties, and we complain about $2,000. It is not serious. We must challenge ourselves, and it must hurt for that to mean sacrifice. If you have $1 million and you give $1,000, that's too small. Someone who has $1,000 and gives $1,000, yes, that is sacrifice. So please, it is measured individually. Do your very best. Do your very best. Look at those videos. Look at those people who used to fight, and just try to imitate that passion, because we are not at home to do this, and because it is also well designed by God, because everybody cannot be at home to do it, because somebody needs to be outside to make the money. So those of us who have our lives and are working, please, let's put in the money. So everybody who was drafted in the Savannah and the Midlands, come again and do more. Do more, especially. Do this with an extra honor to our president, who has stood so tall through the years of, you know it, all the bashes, but he has been our shepherd. And honestly, he has been a good shepherd. He stems from this zone. As our support to him, just come out again and do something extra. And remember, it still goes to your personal account. So even if you give 5,000 tomorrow at the Atlantic and you're from Midlands, yes, you're supporting the Atlantic hosting, but it goes to your personal account and on your draft certificate, which is your certificate that you will prove that you were a true comrade. It will state that altogether you drafted 8,000. You drafted the federal government with 8,000. So, dear comrades, I cannot overemphasize, talk to somebody new. Anyone who wants to contribute and doesn't want his name out, we have room for anonymous. I listen to the president. That's something to remind our people, because some people might find themselves in situations or positions where they cannot voice their names. There's always a way you can help. Yeah, and you can help as humanitarian, and always label that when you pay through our national treasury payment options. So let's get every leader in this government reaching out, calling people. We hear these tactics from our gurus like Nijo and Myrin. Pick up your phone, call somebody, just go through your list, and you will realize that there's some comrades you haven't seen or heard from. Some may have drifted, but this might just be the opportunity to get them back. Just say, hey, guys, this is what is still happening. We need you. We need your contribution. And so reach out to them, share the payment method, and make sure you follow up with them and make sure they have paid. If everybody makes 3 calls, I mean, 3 calls to someone they don't normally talk to, we are going to see a turnaround, this Saturday. And why not? We can do it. 2 days is good time to do some more mobilization. So once again, it was a pleasure being here. And thank you, Ambazonia. See you on Saturday. Oh, I just wanted to say
Thank
that
you too very
on
much.
the horizon will be up tomorrow, and my patients, our Secretary of State for Women's departments of the Department of Women's Services, sorry, uh, will be on. So we will have another interesting panel. So I'm calling on everyone to tune in at 6:30 p.m. Amber time.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Interesting. The horizon is always interesting. Thank you, Dr. Yaya, for your time. Like I said, you inspired us
Welcome.
all this evening. We will transition and give the mic back to the ladies. Thank you very much for coming.
And thanks to our great ladies, Lady Onye Okwala and Lady Star Smart, for the tremendous job you do for Amazonia. In fact, you ladies rock. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being with you.
Same here, Dr. Yaya. Thank you too.
Thank you so
Good
much,
night.
Dr. Foya. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Bye.
Bye. See you on Saturday. All right, fellow Amazonians, I'm sure that you've heard not just one, not two, not three, but lots and lots of reasons why you must be part of Saturday's draft. A lot is going to be achieved, a lot is going to be done with the draft. So please ensure that you tell someone to tell someone to get ready for Saturday. All right, so we've had a lot from Dr. Yaya Fonye here in the studio. She has explained a lot. She has gone into details, and I'm sure that you are ready. So let's all get ready for Saturday. All right, and thank you so much for being part of the news tonight. Star?
Thank you indeed for being part, and we'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images.
Fellow Ambazonians, permit me to make a solemn appeal to all of you, all supporters and well-wishers of the interim government, all supporters and well-wishers of this God-ordained struggle. Whether you are Ambazonian or non-Ambazonian, you are welcome. All executives and non-executives, you are welcome. All of you in the home front or in the diaspora, you are all welcome to participate in this federal government draft scheduled for Saturday, the 18th of March 2023, and the time is 8 p.m. Ambazonia time. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate and to thank you, all of you who have participated or participated in the ongoing draft event by the federal government. It started 2 weeks ago with the Savannah. Thank you for participating. Thank you for those of you who brought the cash needed. And for those of you who made your pledges, redemption continues. Even as we gather in the Midland Zone, we are counting on your willingness and readiness to redeem every dime that you pledged to put in the hands of the central government. This is a crucial year we have christened the year of acceleration. And for us to realize that it will take more than words of mouth. It will take more than a declaration. We have to make sacrifices more than usual to achieve that. To go the extra mile, we have to make extra sacrifices. The federal government is hereby signing on as an active participant, actor on the ground. We will not be any longer contented with issuing directives and giving orders or sharing strategies, but we want to lead. We want to help to galvanize our forces on the ground and in the home and in the diaspora. We want to help to direct strategies, to direct operations, and to ensure that counties and LGS align with the national strategic plan so that we can finish this sooner than later. We are not drafting as the federal government this time on behalf of the counties. We are not doing some kind of collections to distribute to counties. We have decided to start this year with the federal draft to empower the federal draft as the first leg in this revolution, to serve as a down payment for the acceleration we need, so that even before we start drafting the counties and the LGS in July, we would have been able to do more to rekindle the fire, the enthusiasm again in this liberation effort. So draft, when it comes to the federal government, draft as if that's the last thing you will do in your life. Everything you have to do for this revolution, for us to succeed, do it as if that's the last thing you will do before our freedom. There is a lot to do. There is a lot to revive. There is much to accelerate for us to be in a comfortable place that we were in 2021. And we have the strategy to rekindle the fire, to bring back that moment back in our struggle. Some people brutally interrupted us. The federal government want to come in full throttle. We need your help. We need your sacrifice, please. We need your full draft. We are more interested right now with a down payment. A down payment will never be a promissory note. A down payment will be cash. We need it. Put it in our hands. Let's join forces together with our counties at the level of our zones, and let us change the game once and for all. Let us secure our country and take our country back. Make sure that the enemy will not win us by forfeiture. Thank you very much. I look forward to your participation on Saturday. But above all, share this invitation. Invite somebody. You are free to come and donate. You may do so anonymously, but do something, because those who are dying, they cannot defend themselves. That's why they die. They need you. We are alive. Therefore, we can do more. Life is given to us, so more is expected from us than for those who are no more. One day we'll be remembered by the fight we fought, by the sacrifices we made. Thank you very much. I look forward to receiving you. God bless you.